Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those games where you get heaps of money towards the end of the story, but early on getting the funds required for top tier equipment and weaponry can be quite a struggle. In this Ultimate Loadout Edition video, I'll be showing off a compilation of my picks for the best sidearms, repeaters, rifles and shotguns, and how you can get them both early and totally free. The first weapon I'm going to be checking out is one that I get asked about a lot, and that's the Quick Draw Master right here, the M1899. A pistol that's exclusive to story mode and one that's very close to my heart. Ever since it dropped in a DLC about a year after Red Dead Redemption 2 was originally released, it's been one of, if not my favourite weapon in the entire game. Not only is it stunning and has a vast array of customization options available, but this thing absolutely shreds as well. With just about the fastest fire rates of any weapon currently available, it almost feels like you're using a machine gun when you're dual wielding these bad boys. If you're not too worried about your ammo count, you don't even really have to worry about headshots in most situations. Just hip fire the enemy and blast him into another stratosphere. Rampaging with these pistols is just about the best fun you can have with your pants still on. I highly recommend checking them out if you haven't had the pleasure already. Under normal circumstances, you would have to purchase the M1899 from the Saint Denis gunsmith from Chapter 4 onwards, where it comes in for a tidy sum of $315, making it one of the most expensive sidearms available. However, don't fret if you're down on funds, I've got a couple of ways that you can get them for nothing. The first method involves the Cattle Rustling with Uncle Side mission in Chapter 4, which becomes available after completing Angelo Bronte A Man of Honor, where you retrieve Jack from Angelo Bronte's mansion in Saint Denis. You can find it on the outskirts of the Shady Belle gang camp, and it's only available at night, usually between midnight and 5 AM. It can be a little bit tricky to get it to spawn sometimes though, so the best thing to do if you can't see it is to set up a camp away from your main base, advance time by 24 hours and then check again to see if it's there, then just rinse and repeat until you do see it. When this little icon is up on your map, you know it's ready to go, but do not start it right away. Save your game first, as that's going to be important for later. Once your game's been saved, you can start the mission and make your way to Hillhaven Ranch to get things underway. If you're not familiar with the mission, it simply requires you to either scare or kill the cattle rustlers so that you can take the cattle instead. For our purposes though, you don't want to scare them off, you will need to kill them. Any old way will do, nothing fancy required here, just make sure they're both taken care of. Once they are, make your way over to their bodies and have a look on the ground that's surrounding them. The guy that was standing off to the side will have dropped a Springfield rifle, but the guy that was trying to pick the lock on the gate, however, will have dropped one of two pistols. One of which is the M1899, as you can see here, and that's definitely the one that I recommend you go for. Not only is it my preferred gun, but it's a hell of a lot more expensive than the other gun that he might drop, which is a volcanic pistol. It's nothing but pure luck as to which gun will spawn, and that's why I told you to save the game before starting the mission, because it can't be repeated. If the M1899 doesn't spawn, simply reload your game and try again. I've tested this thoroughly and it definitely still works, but some people have reported that they've only been able to acquire an M1899 with this method after purchasing the first one from a gunsmith. That wasn't the case for me, but give it a go and see what you get. Worst case scenario, you'll only be able to get one for free, but that's still better than nothing. It's also worth noting that you can get a free Carcano rifle by robbing the owner of the house that we're currently stealing cattle from. Simply knock him out or shoot him in the dome and he'll promptly drop the rifle by his side, where you can then pick it up and claim it for yourself. The next method is a little bit simpler, however according to my research it will only work if you already own one of the M1899s already, which is why I showed you the other method first. But hey, this still potentially saves a cool $350, so I thought I should definitely include it in the video. Make your way over to the Angelo Bronte mansion in Saint Denis. You probably remember it from various missions, but if not, you can find it here. Then what you're going to want to do is sneak around the back and jump over the fence. Keep things pretty quiet to start with so you can get your bearings, but you'll likely be spotted eventually. At that point you can just let loose and take out whoever's in your immediate vicinity. Once you've done that, it's simply a matter of searching around on the ground until you see one of the dropped guards that was carrying an M1899. And then, all you have to do is tap the corresponding button, and now it's my gun, baby. Hells yeah. By the time you're done, you've probably got a wanted level with the cops rolling in from a distance, so it's best to make a timely escape out the same way that you came in, and away you go. Easy peasy. You might get a bit of a bounty, but as long as you don't get embroiled in a big shootout with the cops, it shouldn't hurt your back pocket too much. Next sidearm on the agenda is the well-known Schofield Revolver, another very powerful gun that is honestly a lot of fun to use. It's one of those guns I actually don't use for missions that often, but it's one of my go-tos when I'm going on a rampage. It blasts away enemies with a good amount of force, and it's just got such a solid feel to it. Normally purchasable from just about any gunsmith for the price of $75, it also comes with a pretty good selection of modifications that you can make. But don't go spending that money just yet. There's a couple of methods of getting this one for nothing. The first involves a robbery side mission in Valentine, which becomes available early in Chapter 2. In order to get it kicked off, you will need to come over to my location on the map. Once you've arrived, you'll see a suspicious looking door that seems to back onto one of the shops. There's a little random encounter that can occur here that points you in the right direction, but luckily you don't actually need that to get it to work. Once you've knocked on the door like I just did, you'll be promptly told to go away, and at that point you just need to make your way around to the shop front of the medical centre on the main strip of Valentine. From there, just head inside to have a friendly little chat with the shopkeeper. Once you trigger him, if you've done everything right up until now, you'll see an option to rob the back room. After that, it's all pretty straightforward. He'll lead you in the back where there's a shady side business going on. They'll let you in, thinking that it's the owner, and then all you need to do is blast them to the heavens. When the enemies are no longer an issue, you can make your way over to the table where you'll find a lockbox. And inside you'll see a new nice addition to your arsenal, the Schofield Revolver, totally free of charge. However, the free part is assuming you don't kill too many cops during your escape and rack up a big bounty. But if you have a stick of dynamite, you can collect some extra money from the safe in the wall, which should cover you pretty nicely one way or another. The second method for the Schofield Revolver comes later on in the game in the final installment of the Gunslinger Stranger mission called Noblest of Men and a Woman. This is the one where Jim Boy Calloway challenges Arthur to a duel and of course inevitably loses. When he dies, he drops a revolver, just like all of the other legendary gunslingers, only this one happens to be a very nicely decorated variant of the Schofield. Technically speaking, it's got lower stats than the regular Schofield, much like all of the other gunslinger weapons, but it's only by a small margin, and combine it with the one that you get from Valentine and you'll be dual wielding these bad boys without having spent a penny. Next up in our free weapon series is going to be repeaters, first of which is of course the Lancaster Repeater, which is one of my favourite guns in the whole game and one that I definitely recommend you get if you haven't acquired it already. Under normal conditions you can purchase it from any gunsmith, but that's not really necessary considering you'll automatically get one for free when you complete an American pastoral scene late in Chapter 2. That's the mission where you team up with old Rat Boy and rob a stagecoach for everything it's worth, but not before everything goes pear-shaped and your escape gets abruptly brought to a stop after crashing the vehicle. Shortly before that happens though, Michael will do the first useful thing that he's ever accomplished in his life and give you a free Lancaster Repeater out of the kindness of his heart. Okay, well in fairness, it's probably not him being a good guy as much as him once again shamelessly recruiting Arthur's help to save his bacon after another one of his piss poor plans goes to shit, but I digress. Point being is if you're someone that wants to just smash out the story as quickly as possible, you may as well wait to finish this mission and just get the gun that way. But if you want to get it earlier than that, well I've got you covered there as well. If you make your way over to the Rhodes Gunsmith at any point throughout the story, you can come across a truly disturbing random encounter. It involves a captured boy that's been imprisoned in the basement after a series of tragic events. It's implied that he's been down there for years and the story behind it is both twisted and also very sad if you take the time to listen to it. To get access to both him and the free Lancaster Repeater, you'll need to go inside the gunsmith building and draw your gun on the owner. That will give you the option of robbing the basement, which is of course where we want to go. He'll then lead you downstairs, where if you want to, you can choose to stick around and hear all of the gruesome details, before inevitably setting the boy free and heading on your way. It's a hugely misunderstood encounter and one that really hit me quite hard when I experienced it properly for the first time, so yeah, definitely check it out if you're interested. Either way, before you get out of here, just make sure that you inspect the weapon case located on the table to the side. The owner won't put up any sort of a fight or try to stop you from taking the Lancaster, so there's no need to put him down or do anything to subdue him. But there's also not really any punishment for doing so, so if you want to take out your own special brand of justice before leaving, well, you go right ahead. Overall, it's a really solid gun, especially considering it's available so early on in the game. Not only does it do great for mid-range targets like this, but if you prefer to get all up close and personal, you can pretty much rapid fire the thing just like it's a pistol or a revolver. So basically, just smash the fire button when you're not aiming the gun, and it'll absolutely shred through just about anything in its path. With a 14 bullet capacity, good range, and some truly deadly accuracy, this thing can not only do some serious damage, but will also remain a trustworthy addition to your arsenal from start to finish. Last on the list is the lesser known but still very deadly gun known as the Weapons Repeater. It was added to the game about a year after Red Dead 2 released, and was originally reserved for the PC version, where it was then added to all other platforms a few months later. The stats on it are honestly a little bit lackluster when compared to the Lancaster and the Litchfield, but one area where the Evans outshines both of them is ammo capacity. Where the Lancaster holds 14 and the Litchfield holds 16, the Evans here has a whopping capacity of up to 26 bullets. If you plan on spamming the Deadeye button when going on an all-out rampage, it's hard to pass up that kind of ammunition. Of course though, it does come at a cost. The reload time is terrible, the accuracy isn't great, and neither is the damage. Definitely go for pure headshots on this one. Anything on the body is unlikely to drop an enemy with just one bullet. On the plus side, you can purchase this gun as early as Chapter 3, after completing the mission American Distillation. As for a way of getting them free though, well, I searched high and low and struggled to find something that was consistent. I did find a few NPCs and police that dropped them in Saint Denis, but not on a regular basis. So as an alternative, we'll go with the random encounter that presents itself several times throughout the game, and involves you rescuing some poor sod that's been bitten by a snake. In truly unrealistic fashion, you save his life by sucking the snake venom out of his leg, thus curing all of his woes and enabling him to stupidly get bitten over and over again throughout the course of the story. I've seen him pop up in countless places all over the map, but these 3 locations here seem to be the most consistent and reliable. After saving his life and waiting a few in-game days, you'll then want to go to whatever gunsmith was closest to the encounter at the time, where he'll then start hooting and hollering, asking you to come over and talk to him. He'll inform you that he is indeed very grateful and always pays his debts, going as far to back it up by saying you can purchase something from the gunsmith completely free of charge by putting it on his tab. So make your way over to the gunsmith and head inside. And then when you pull up the catalogue, you'll quickly see that every gun in the store costs the vast sum of $0. Unfortunately, you can only get one, but the dim bastard that hooked us up is pretty accident prone, and you'll get another chance later in the game. The next free gun on the agenda is rifles and snipers. First up, we're going to be looking at the bolt action, which is easily my favourite rifle in the entire game. It might not win any stat competitions, but it's just a solid all-rounder with decent damage, great accuracy, and the fastest reload speed when compared to all other rifles on the market. Traditionally, it's obtained during the mission Preaching Forgiveness as you went in Chapter 3, where you'll be given a free bolt action rifle, which also then unlocks in gunsmiths as well. But I know myself and a lot of you legends out there like to stay on Chapter 2 as long as possible, and hey, who can blame ya? Leaving that rat to rot in jail while avoiding Thomas Downs at all costs is often my go-to strat as well. So if you fit that bill and you'd like to grab it early on in Chapter 2, you can do so by starting up the First Shall Be Last mission, where the gang rescues old mate Sean from the grimy clutches of some local bounty hunters. When you roll up on the first set of bounty hunters, carefully being distracted by Trelawney's strange display of commitment to the cause, you can go ahead and take them out as instructed. But the very next 2 bounty hunters that appear just a little bit further up the hill are the ones that you're gonna need to focus on. When you see these 2 guys positioned right here, you'll need to make sure that you take out the guy on the left first, as he's the one holding the bolt action. For whatever reason, if he gets spooked by you shooting the other guy, he'll put away his rifle and replace it with a carbine repeater, permanently screwing your chances and forcing you to reload the checkpoint. Once you've taken care of the guy on the left, promptly take out the guy on the right and move forward to collect your prize. If you've done it correctly, you'll see a shiny new bolt action rifle laying on the ground, so be sure to go ahead and pick it up, where your existing gun will be returned to your horse. The only problem is it comes with a very limited supply of ammunition, but if you take it to your nearest gunsmith, you'll not only be able to stock up on ammo, but you can also modify it with all the usual upgrades. Overall, it's an outstanding rifle. It's got good ammo capacity, top-notch firing range, and will easily last you you throughout your entire playthrough. With the option of an added scope, you can take enemies out from a distance or just keep it up close and personal, performing some Wild West style plastic surgery. Now we're going to be discussing one of the long distance masters, the rolling block rifle. This gun is an absolute beast, and is mostly used when wanting to accurately shoot at enemies from far away. It normally becomes available late in Chapter 2 during a mission called the Sheep and the Goats, during which John will ask for Arthur's assistance with a sheep rustling operation, offering to pay for a rolling block rifle out of his own pocket to help get the job done. Now honestly, if you plan on playing through the game in a linear fashion, I'd advise just waiting until this mission pops up and get the gun that way. It's free and you don't really have to wait that long. But if you want to get it at the start of Chapter 2 instead, you can do so during the mission by the name Exit Pursued by a Bruised Ego. That's the one where Arthur and Hosea go on a camping and hunting trip where they eventually end up getting intimidated by a jacked up Yogi Bear who's clearly gotten stuck into the steroid-laced honey. When you're done with that, you'll be given the option to have a rematch with the bear or return to camp with Hosea. Put your bruised ego aside for now and be sure to join Hosea back to Horseshoe Overlook. You'll need to go back together if you want to have a chance at collecting the rolling block rifle. When you get back to camp, you'll need to make sure to keep a close eye on Hosea's horse, because as soon as he gets off, you're going to want to try and ride alongside it. You obviously can't mount the horse once he's already been hitched, but for some reason, when it's on the move like this, you're given the option of jumping onto it, much like you would with any other NPC. Don't waste too much time though. You'll only get so many chances, and you'll also need to be mindful of the camp borders, because if you get too close, you'll be kicked off and you'll have to try again. But as long as you stay out of camp and keep a steady pace alongside it, you shouldn't have any problems claiming it for yourself and going on a little joyride. As you can see, when I pull the camera around, Hosea won't have removed the rolling block rifle that he was using during the mission, and it'll still be attached to his horse. You'll then want to ride a decent distance away from camp. There's no limit on how far you can go, and by doing this, you'll ensure a better chance of pulling off the trick without the horse running back before you've had a chance to complete it. Make sure to purchase dynamite from the fence in Emerald Ranch or Saint Denis before you start the mission, and then go ahead and pull it out for a scene that would have Peter crying in their Crocs. One well-placed piece of dynamite will do the trick, but be sure to have a few backups just in case you miss and need to try again. As soon as you've done that, you'll want to investigate the nearby area, where you'll hopefully find Hosea's rolling block rifle glimmering in the sun, just waiting to be taken. Unlike the rare rolling block rifle, this one is fully customizable, with all of the usual upgrades and cosmetics available over at any gunsmith. Alright, so the next gun we're looking at is the Big Bad Double Barrel Shotgun. Originally this was a weapon that I didn't use very much, but after doing more research on it and trying it out thoroughly, I've actually grown to really like it. The main concern is that it only holds 2 shotgun shells at a time, so in big shootouts it can fall behind a little bit with all of the reloading that you have to do. But after experimenting with it a bunch recently, I've actually started to grow quite fond of it. First thing that's worth mentioning, when fully modified, it actually has a higher damage rating than any other shotgun in the game. And on top of that, the stopping power is absolutely insane. The way that you can launch NPCs with just a single shot is all kinds of awesome. You'll sometimes even make horses completely flip over themselves. It's totally nuts. I highly advise you give this gun a fair go in the right setting. I have had so much fun with it recently. You can normally purchase it from all gunsmiths for $95 after completing the mission paying a social call in Chapter 2. However, don't drop that money just yet, I've got a surefire way to get it for nothing. There are a couple ways that you can get it. The first one is during the paying a social call mission that I just mentioned. That's the one where you raid the O'Driscoll camp at 6 Point Cabin, where Kieran saves Arthur from being shot. Inside the cabin where it goes down, the game encourages you to pick up and then clean a double barrel shotgun that you get to keep. However, I know a lot of you like to do your exploring early and save the missions for later. Don't worry if that's the case, there's another super solid way of getting a hold of one. In order to get one without having to either buy it at the gunsmith or doing the paying a social call mission that we just looked at, you need to come to this shack located at the very southern point of the main map. Once you're here, just head inside the building and I can direct you on where you need to go. This is another house where a series of random encounters can occur, this time involving a father and his son. They're really interesting and again worth checking out, but we'll keep it short and sweet for the sake of the video. Just come around to the living room and on top of the fireplace will be the weapon that we're looking for. Like I say, it might not be everyone's first choice, but it actually outranks the other shotguns in a number of ways. It's definitely not the best all-rounder though, but Red Dead Redemption 2 has always been about the right tool for the right job, and it definitely has its benefits. It's not like GTA where there's essentially one gun that can sort of carry you through everything. You need a whole arsenal, each gun with a specific task in mind. And when it comes to all-out close-range grunt, the double barrel is in a league of its own. As long as you don't bring it into a really big firefight where enemies can overwhelm you while trying to reload, I think you'll be surprised at just how much fun this thing can be. Next up is the semi-auto shotgun, which is easily my favourite shotgun in the entire game. The others are good, don't get me wrong, but from the moment I got my hands on this thing, I simply couldn't put it away. It has a truly ridiculous fire rate to the point of almost feeling like it shoots too quickly, and honestly, in that respect, it does take a bit of getting used to. If you get too carried away with the trigger, it almost feels like a full automatic weapon. I can't really think of a better gun to use when you're at close range. Not only does it shoot really fast, but it does some absolutely devastating damage as well. You can buy it from most gunsmiths for $225 after completing a fine night of debauchery in Chapter 4. At that price, it makes it one of the most expensive shotguns in the game. Fortunately though, I can show you a way of getting it both free and early. At any point from Chapter 2 onwards, you just need to make your way over to my location at a little house to the west of the map called Watson's Cabin. Once you arrive, just head in the front door and you may be greeted with a number of different random encounters. They all revolve around an outlaw family that lives here, and their story progresses throughout the process of the game. It's a really funny set of interactions and definitely worth checking out. However, for our purposes, we only need to head down into the basement while ignoring just about everything else for now. As soon as you get down here, you'll see a weapons case available for you to loot, and inside is of course the semi-auto shotgun in all of its glory. Just like the pump-action shotgun that we got before, and any other weapon that you find like this, it'll be pretty dirty. But get some gun oil onto that thing and you'll be all good to go. So with all the weapon varieties now covered, you should have an entire arsenal at your disposal without having spent a cent. If I didn't feature what you're looking for, be sure to check the description below for links to my free weapon series, where I covered just about every gun in the game. If you found the video useful, hit the like button to help it to be seen by more people, and if you're new around here, be sure to think about subscribing as well. I'm one of the very few channels offering consistent content for Red Dead Redemption 2 Story Mode, and I'm sure you'll find all of my videos to be a very useful resource. But until we meet again, you bunch of legends, I'm Red Nitrate, and I'll catch you on the next one.